Hi, this is Bob Batchelor. I'm coming to you from the historic Grand Ballroom at the Abraham Lincoln Hotel in downtown Reading, PA. This is John Updike's birthplace and where he grew up, and so I think it's a fitting place to talk about publishing. I'm really sorry that I can't be there in person, but I wanted to send along this video message, just a quick overview of the publishing process and some tips about writing that I think you could really benefit from. Hopefully, this will begin a conversation that you should feel free to reach out to me via email or any other means to discuss this even further. Some of you might be fans of the new Showtime series, Masters of Sex. This show examines and analyzes the relationship between Bill Masters and Virginia Johnson, who were two really early sex researchers in the United States who became quite famous for their work. If you watch the show, you realize that Masters and Johnson, the study, what they call all their work, the study is everything to them. The study is the focal point of the show. And they need to place themselves within the ideas of the study to really fully see it and enable it to really become a great dramatic series. Today I'm going to talk to you about publishing. I'm going to use the idea of 4 Ps. Okay, so right now, my daughter Cassie would be laughing her head off. She's 9, and if you say anything about P, she's cracking up. But I'm going to talk to you about the 4 Ps as a way of looking at your career and publishing. The 4 Ps are platform, precious, practice, practical, and performance. We're going to discuss those in a little bit more detail. I'd also like to just give you some overview about publishing and my experiences, and then, again, hope to open up that greater dialogue, because it's so great that the Midwest Pop Culture Society has decided to make this pre-conference seminar open to members, and like I said before, I wish I could be there. So the first idea when it comes to publishing is that you need a platform. The platform is, think about a platform or a presidential candidate's platform. It's the set of ideas that enables you to expand on your ideas and let other people know about them. Okay? So you might think, well, I'm an assistant professor or I'm a new graduate student. There's no way I have a platform. I don't have a television show. I don't have a radio show. But we all have platforms. We just have to think about the process of building it so that our names get out there. So much of this is marketing. And if marketing for some reason disgusts you, or you think that being a professor should be far removed from marketing, I really think that that's a bad way to begin your publishing career. You want to be known as an expert, and you want to add to the scholarly knowledge in your given field. So by developing a platform, you will be able to enhance your value to a publisher, because regardless of the publisher, even if it's a journal publication, usually the bottom line goal is to make money. And that shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. In my own early years as a writer, before I became a professor, when I was still working in the corporate world, I took freelance gigs writing about just about anything. I wrote reference articles, 25 words sometimes, 1,000 words, on topics that I thought that I could contribute to. I took magazine articles, anything to build up that long-standing, list of publications, so that over the years, when I was ready to pursue a book, full-length book, I had a basis, this platform in reserve. And we should all, it's the reason why writers need websites, it's the reason why we need Twitter accounts, it's the reason why we should use Facebook for marketing purposes. You need to create a platform. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is that I think that you should be really practical when it comes to your writing. Many of us lead very busy lives that in no way leave time for writing. What you have to do, the old adage that you need to write every day, that's completely false. For some people, they do need to write every day. But for most people, life intercedes, okay? You get sick, your kid gets sick, your dog throws up on the bedspread, all these kind of things. Write when you can and maximize that time. Be practical. There's no such thing as writer's block. That's an excuse. Your status update does not necessarily need fixed right now. Get to work. Sit down and write. If you have 10 minutes, write for 10 minutes. This old adage is true. 1 page a day. 1 page, 250 publishable words a day, 5 days a week. At the end of a year, you have a book. That should be incentive enough. We need to be really practical about our writing. Next, precious. Don't be precious. Like I said before, writing is something that people do. Some people get paid a lot of money for it. Hopefully someday you'll make the kind of money that James Patterson's made or J.K. Rowling's made. But we must contribute to the body of knowledge as scholars. That is our moral duty as scholars. As such, we need to not worry about writer's block. Don't be precious about your writing. Sit down and do the work. It's lonely. Sometimes it's maddening. It's painful. But we have to do it. So don't be precious about it. It's a task. You want another task? Go out and weed the lawn. Go dig a ditch. Then come back and see how easy writing can be. It's painful. Yes, it's painful. Writing is painful. But it's also part of our moral responsibility. Performance. Performance is key, as I mentioned. Create a system in which you can perform at your maximum. If that means you have to write 3 hours a day to perform at your maximum, become that machine. Don't think that writer's block is going to slow you down. Don't grab another article or book to look through. Sit down and write. Be a machine. Be a machine, okay? Maybe your machine runs a little slower than somebody else's, but be a machine. If you have a half an hour, you'd be amazed. Try it. Put a timer on and see how much writing you can get done in a half hour. You'll surprise yourself. We know that it's painful, but it is incredibly important. Think of yourself as a performing machine. You're a Lamborghini now, okay? I don't care if you've been a junky Chevy Impala from 1978 for most of your writing career. What you can do now is become a machine, okay? For some people, even very successful writers, the problem is that they put too many things into their heads, too many anxiety-inducing kinds of roadblocks, and they end up becoming their own worst nightmare. And this comes from award-winning novelists I've spoken to, award-winning writers, university presses, or university press authors who have written award-winning books. Become a machine and get those roadblocks out of the way. If you're humming down the highway in a Camaro, you're going to fly by that beat-up pickup truck, okay? And whatever obstacle comes up, you can swerve around it, okay? Think of yourself as that writing machine. It's painful. It's necessary. It's tough work. You are doing artistry, but I like to think of it as dirty artistry, because the dirt comes when you sit down and rough through that pain. When I got finished with my first book, somebody said, well, what was it like? What was your first book like? I said, every time I sat down, it felt like I was opening a vein and letting a little blood out. Every single day, just knifing myself a little bit in the arm and letting a little blood flow. But it was worth it. The payoff was worth it, because of that book deal and the marketing that I did to build my platform for that first book deal led to another book deal. That book deal led to 1,000 other opportunities. So, dirty artistry. Be an artist, get dirty, get your hands dirty. Imagine that you're digging that ditch when you're writing. Back to Masters and Johnson for a second. They have become part of their study. They begin an affair because they need to feel and understand sexuality from the perspective of people having sex. They can't just watch in a lab and understand what's going on. And so we need to put ourselves in the place and get inside our study, okay? Take it seriously, okay? Don't be precious. It's one of the reasons why I think critical cultural analysis and autoethnography is so important for writers, particularly pop culture writers. because we need to place ourselves within the broader story. All of life is stories. We're storytelling animals, we always have been. We were pre-programmed or programmed over millions of years to become storytellers. If you go back 100,000 years, you see the first traces of human beings using stories to communicate, long before there was actual voice or language, okay? So get inside your study and things will become so much easier. It doesn't matter if it's for journals, for books. I think the way to think about it is eventually, for the most part, writing a journal is a thinner or a deeper dive into a single topic. Whereas as you go out to a book or even a reference book that you're going to edit, you're taking broader and broader swipes at this important topic, okay? My friend Ashley Donnelly at Ball State wrote a great book called Faux Rogues, and she looked at a number of important dramatic television shows, but that book, the ideas in that book, could not have been contained in one television show. So she looked at Dexter, she looked at Breaking Bad, she looked at Sons of Anarchy, she looked at Boardwalk Empire. You can see the beginnings and the way that she's thinking in the article on Dexter that she published in the Journal of Popular Culture. You can see the thinking in the Journal of Popular Culture Studies that we published last year, Volume 1, in her piece on Boardwalk Empire. So her book comes out now, and you see the strands. She had to look at multiple TV shows to make really compelling analysis about the traditionalism of anti-heroes that we think are these grandiose new characters, and they actually represent all these kind of traditional TV meta-narratives like white power, white masculinity, anti-women, anti-gay rights, things like that. So I think that these points today may help you out. You know, go back to the 4 Ps. Precious, practical, performance, and platform. I think if you think about your writing career in those terms, and think about the successes of some of the people that have gone before you and the way that they planned it out, you don't have to be James Patterson, but you can be a mighty fine writer in whatever your field of study is. You can make a significant contribution to the body of knowledge, and that's what we're all here for. Thanks so much again for listening to me. I appreciate this time. I appreciate that Norma and Kathleen and others running MPCA and running this pre-conference seminar series gave me the opportunity to speak. I really appreciate it, and I really look forward to speaking to you all. Thank you very much.